Making headlines tonight. Parents of the kingdom's 6 to 11-year-olds say they're excited to get their children vaccinated so they can get back to school. The world's first all-civilian crew blast off into orbit for a 3-day space holiday. And meet the world's newest record holders, including a dog with the longest ears you've ever seen. This is the Daily Roundup on the EAC News Channel. A very good evening to you. I'm Andrew Barnes-Roberts. Parents have welcomed the news that their 6 to 11-year-old children are to be vaccinated against COVID-19. Prime Minister Hun Sen made the surprise announcement on Wednesday. This next phase of the kingdom's child vaccination program will start on Friday morning with an official kickoff at the Peace Palace, which EAC News will broadcast live. The Prime Minister says vaccinating 6 to 11-year-olds is aimed at getting primary schools reopened as soon as possible. EAC News reporter Yuri Matosko hit the streets of Phnom Penh on Thursday to speak to parents and their young children.
From Friday, 1.8 million children between the ages of 6 and 11 will be vaccinated. The campaign makes Cambodia one of only 3 countries in the world vaccinating younger people, after China and Chile. Prime Minister Hun Sen posted an audio message on his Facebook page on Wednesday, declaring the decision was based on studies in many countries. He also said the kingdom has enough vaccines in hand to vaccinate the 1.8 million children in this age group. EAC News took to the streets to ask children if they were scared of needles.
I'm so happy I don't scary. I want to go to study.
I'm not scared. I'm happy to go back to school because I've missed my friends, my teachers, and I miss school.
The thought of going back to school makes me happy and excited. I'm happy to get vaccinated against COVID-19.
Parents told EAC News that they are just as pleased.
I feel happy that the government has launched a vaccination campaign for young children to let them go back to school. I want them to go back to school as normal because they haven't studied for a long time.
I am glad that the government has provided vaccines for children to let them go back to school. I am very happy to let my kids return to school because when they stay at home, they are always playing.
I'm excited to let my kids get vaccinated to protect them from COVID-19, especially the Delta variant. My kids were also very happy when they watched the announcement on TV. I'm very thankful to the Prime Minister for providing the vaccines for my children.
The Ministry of Health has already issued a list of vaccination sites. First shots will be administered from Friday until the 13th of October. Second doses will go into arms from the 8th of October. The birth certificate or passport must be presented in order to receive the jabs. The fear of the needle won't hold up the children's excitement to be finally back at school. They are one of the last groups of students that still needs to be vaccinated. The government says it now has plans to vaccinate children from 3 to 5 years old, but no start date of that phase of the kingdom's vaccination campaign has yet been given. Yuri Matosko, EAC News, Phnom Penh.
Cambodia's daily case numbers are heading in the wrong direction. On Thursday, the Ministry of Health reported the country's highest number of new cases since the 29th of July. The number of active COVID-19 cases is also steadily climbing, with 4,241 patients now receiving treatment. The cases are climbing because new daily cases are far outpacing the number of recoveries. 693 new cases were confirmed by the Health Ministry on Thursday morning. They haven't been that high since 765 daily cases were reported on the 29th of July. They're also dwarfing the 443 patients who have been discharged. 11 patients have died in the past 24 hours. The new cases take to 102,136 the country's total number of COVID-19 cases. The death toll has reached 2,078. The number of successful treatments is now at 95,810. The body of a missing teenager who was caught in a storm while sea fishing with his father off the coast of Priok Sihanouk has been found by authorities. The Tumpun Rolok Police Force, in cooperation with the District Unity Command Force divers and a GTV speedboat team, found the boy's body at around 6 p.m. on Wednesday. Father and son had gone fishing off the coast of Stung Hav district on Tuesday. In rough seas and heavy rain, their boat capsized, throwing the two into the water. 47-year-old Miak Siek managed to make it safely to shore, but there was no sign of his 14-year-old son, Son Makara. Local authorities immediately launched a search team to find him, with locals also heading into the water to see if they could find him. The storm brought flash flooding to the area as well. The weather office has warned that the country will continue to experience heavy rain for much of the next week. There are signs Cambodia's economy is starting to bounce back as restrictions ease and more people get out and about. The Ministry of Economy and Finance's General Department of Taxation collected 10.6% less in taxes over the first 8 months of the year when compared to the same period in 2020. But figures for August are promising, as EAC news reporter Yuri Matosko explains.
The taxman collected $1.9 billion in taxes between January and August, 10.6% down on the same period last year. But that's come as no surprise to Cambodia Chamber of Commerce Vice President Linh Heng. He believes the drop can be attributed to two main factors: less businesses' activities due to the lockdown and the tax breaks given by the government to support sectors hardest hit by the pandemic. But the president of the Federation of Associations for Small and Medium Enterprises of Cambodia, Dat Tampo, believes that business is gradually getting back on track. In August, for example, $192.3 million were collected in taxes. That's up 12.71% on August 2020. Another positive sign is the approval of the free trade agreement between Cambodia and China. Tampo believes the CCFTA will expand Cambodia's international trade. It's expected to be signed next month. Yuri Matosko, EAC News.
In advance of the 30th anniversary of Cambodia's Paris Peace Agreement, the US Embassy in Phnom Penh is hosting a virtual speaker program. It is discussing developments in the kingdom 3 decades after that historic agreement was signed. Thursday's speaker was award-winning author and journalist Elizabeth Becker. EAC news reporter Rhea Soko attended the event.
American author and journalist Elizabeth Becker has detailed how Cambodia has developed after the Khmer Rouge. The United States Embassy, which hosted the program, says the comprehensive Cambodian peace agreement, commonly referred to as the Paris Peace Agreement, was signed by 19 countries on 23 October 1991 and is a remarkable example of multilateral diplomacy that ended Cambodia's decades-long civil war. Becker says the peace accord started well in Cambodia. From being a picture of a war-torn country, Cambodia all of a sudden became a symbol of tourism with its beautiful attractions such as Angkor Wat. Becker recalled her own experience in France during the negotiation process.
First and foremost, it ended the war. I cannot exaggerate how miraculous that felt. I was in Paris during these negotiations, and I can tell you, it seemed as if mountains had to be moved to get everybody to agree. But they did agree, and this is what they agreed to: that Cambodia would be a democracy guided by the rule of law, that the citizens would elect representatives in free and fair elections, and those representatives would sit in the parliament, that the political system would include the full respect for human rights, the judiciary would be independent.
But in her opinion, that is not the country Cambodia is today. Comes to the government's response to COVID-19, the government is really monitoring and the information coming out from social media and news sites. Do you think Cambodia still has the fundamental rights to freedom of expression, which is also in accordance to the Paris Peace Agreement signed by Cambodia 30 years ago.
No, it doesn't. I mean, that's clear. I mean, every week I read in the Cambodian press that so and so has been arrested because the Facebook post was considered not good for the security of the country, and the definition of what is good for the country keeps getting narrower and narrower and narrower. So you don't know if you can publish this. It's way over policed, and you see that in demonstrations too. You have it's freedom of speech on social media, in the streets. It's disappearing.
Cambodian People's Party spokesperson Suk Asan told EAC News that it is Baker's right to express her own opinion based on what she knows, but says the content of her statements is not linked to the reality of what is happening in the kingdom as she is not physically here. In response to recent accusations that it is clamping down on freedom of speech and protests, the royal government has repeatedly stated affiliation with a particular organization or group cannot be a license to break the law with impunity. More recently, Prime Minister Hun Sen has also said that the right to freedom of speech or freedom of expression cannot be more important than the right to life or the right to safety and security. Rhea Soko, EAC News.
มันមិនសិទ្ធិបច្ចេកមតិឬប្រជាធិបតេយ្យទេគឺសិទ្ធិរស់រានមានជីវិតដែលត្រូវតែទទួលបានមុនគេ
A SpaceX rocket blasted off from Florida in the early hours of Thursday morning, Cambodian time, carrying the world's first non-professional astronauts. They'll spend 3 days in orbit, and all they have to do is read the manual, with them having no specialized training at all. Resilience on the launch pad, the nickname for this particular SpaceX Crew Dragon capsule. Aboard, a billionaire e-commerce executive and 3 of his friends, the first all-civilian crew ever launched into Earth orbit. Liftoff came just after 6 a.m. Thursday morning Cambodian time from the famed Kennedy Space Center. A webcast of the flight shows 38-year-old Jared Isaacman and his crewmates, 51-year-old Cyan Proctor, 29-year-old Haley Arsenault, and 42-year-old Chris Sembrowski strapped in wearing their helmeted black and white flight suits. The flight is the first crewed mission into orbit with no professional astronauts. All they need to do is read the manual and press the right buttons. After 3 days in orbit, they'll splash down in the Atlantic. It marks the debut of SpaceX owner Elon Musk's new orbital tourism business, and puts him a huge leap ahead of his competitors who are currently offering only a few minutes in zero gravity. Now for a look at some other news making headlines around the world this Thursday, the 16th of September.
South Korea has successfully tested a submarine-launched ballistic missile conducted by the Agency for Defense Development. South Korean President Moon Jae-in and the country's defense minister were at on-site observation post. They say the missile launch was not a response to North Korea's latest one, but scheduled in accordance with South Korea's own missile capabilities reinforcement plan. The missile test came just hours after North Korea fired a pair of ballistic missiles off its east coast, breaching UN sanctions and ratcheting up tensions on the peninsula.
An executive Beechcraft King Air 360 turboprop has crashed in Brazil just 15 seconds after takeoff, killing 7 passengers, including one of the country's most well-known tycoons. Celso Silveira Melio Filho is a major shareholder in the energy conglomerate Cosan. Also aboard were his wife and 3 children. The pilot and co-pilot also lost their lives. The plane had only just taken off from the regional airport of Piracicaba and crashed into a wooded area adjacent to the São Paulo State Faculty of Technology. The cause of the accident is now under investigation. Another plane crash in Indonesia. This one, a small cargo plane which fell into a steep mountainous forest in Papua, killing all 3 crew members. Bad weather and the steep terrain has delayed the recovery of the victims. The Transportation Ministry says Contact with the Twin Otter 300 was lost about 50 minutes after takeoff. The aircraft was reportedly having difficulty landing due to the bad weather. Indonesia has been hit by a string of transportation accidents in recent years, including plane crashes and ferry sinkings.
And 15 people are still missing after devastating floods in Turkey's Black Sea region. Footage shows just how widespread the flooding is. Almost 2,500 people have been evacuated. The area has been declared a disaster zone, which frees up government aid. The area was last hit by heavy rain in August. Those floods claimed at least 78 lives.
A busy night at the UEFA Champions League. All the details in your sports news after the break. EAC News fully supports the Royal Government of Cambodia's preventative and administrative measures against COVID-19. But we need you to play your part in helping bring the 20 February community transmission event to an end. Wash your hands regularly, sanitize wherever possible. Keep an eye on your body temperature. Use the Stop COVID QR code and maintain a safe social distance. But above all, please, 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 wear a mask. Only together can we beat COVID-19. EAC News' audience is growing. Our YouTube channel has over 150,000 verified subscribers. To mark the milestone, we've received the Silver Creator Award from YouTube. It's given to channels with over 100,000 subscribers. YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki says the award celebrates EAC News' hard work and incredible achievement. She says we brought a unique voice and style to the world, but have also created valuable connections and built a community along the way. The next milestone we're going for is 1 million subscribers, and we'd really like that Gold Creator Award. So if you're not already a subscriber, head to YouTube and search for EAC News. Subscribers get alerts when the Daily Roundup is premiering and live events are streaming. Get all the latest breaking news and updates from Cambodia in English. The EAC News channel on YouTube. Cambodia made clear. If it's happening and you need to know about it, you'll get it all right here. EAC News brings you updates and breaking news in English across all of our platforms and channels. The EAC News app, YouTube, Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, and our website www.eacnews.asia. Join me, Andrew Barnes-Roberts, and the rest of the EAC News team every day on your favorite channels. EAC News, Cambodia made clear. It was a good night for Liverpool and Real Madrid. Both clubs notched up a win to go top of their groups in the opening round of the UEFA Champions League. Liverpool particularly had a good night, with their manager going as far as saying they got carried away. It was a topsy-turvy outing for Liverpool at Anfield, hosting AC Milan. With fans inside the stadium for a Champions League match for the first time in 18 months, Liverpool began in electrifying fashion with 13 attempts at goal in the first 15 minutes, and eventually went ahead thanks to an own goal by Fikayo Tomori. The scoreboard then flip-flopped for the rest of the 90 minutes, with Liverpool eventually edging out their visitors 3-2.
Yeah, nearly 100%, of course, because it was a brilliant game, very exciting, I think very entertaining, with 10-15 minutes where we lost a little bit the plot, whatever, were not compact enough anymore. It got carried away with our own football pretty much, made it then complicated, which we shouldn't have done in own possession. And last line slightly too deep, midfield closing the gaps anymore and stuff like this. So they could pass through. They scored 2 goals. In a moment like this, obviously the game can be decided, but not tonight because we could adjust in the half time and did that. Played again, really good football and scored 2 wonderful goals. And so won the game, which everyone knew before already, but now probably definitely everybody knows. AC Milan came from pot 4 in this group. Very funny. So that's the quality in that group, and so it is really good that we won this game tonight, because obviously you need each point in this group to get through.
He clearly enjoyed the fact that the fans were back in the stands, though, repeatedly punching the air after the final whistle. Real Madrid had a much more definitive night at Inter Milan, with substitute Rodrigo striking an 89th minute winner to bag a 1-0 victory. For Inter, it was a painful conclusion to a game they dominated for long stretches, but the hosts just couldn't find a way past Real's on-form goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois, who produced several crucial saves. Real are second in the group behind Moldovan's Sheriff Tiraspol, who stunned Shakhtar Donetsk with a 2-0 win on their tournament debut. Their next clash will be away to Madrid. Paris Saint-Germain coach Mauricio Pochettino has warned that it might take some time for his formidable new attacking trio to shine. They disappointed on Wednesday night in Brugge, managing only a 1-1 draw in their Champions League opener.
Lionel Messi came close on his first attempt at goal, but managed to hit the woodwork. Ultimately, he failed to add to his 120 goals in the UEFA Champions League. Neymar was equally disappointing, and Kylian Mbappe limped off the pitch injured. It was the first time the 3 strikers played together, and it showed. They struggled to find each other and create space against a compact Belgian side. With a draw, PSG are now 2 points behind Manchester City, who demolished RB Leipzig 6-3, 2 weeks before the League One side take on the Premier League champions at the Parc des Princes. The PSG coach says the team will need more consistency and fluidity if they are going to improve. But for now, he says, they have to keep calm and keep working.
It's always good to see signs that the pandemic is not going to be with us forever. For the first time in over 18 months, fans of Brazilian teams Flamengo and Gremio were able to watch their teams battle it out at the Brazil Cup quarterfinals on Wednesday night. The fans lapped up their return to the iconic Maracana Stadium in Rio de Janeiro. Much of the past year has seen games worldwide played with no fans in the stands.
It is an indescribable feeling. It is a huge nostalgia, even though the ticket is a bit expensive. The longing to come back is stronger, and we end up doing some crazy things, adjusting the budget a bit, and in the end, we came to see Flamengo. A year and a half is a long time for those used to going to the stadium. We were looking forward to going back. If the soccer clubs follow health protocols like the ones Flamengo applied, I believe that people will come back. After so long closed, now we can come back. The last time I came to the stadium was in February 2020. We can come back following the sanitary measures. Many soccer fans were victims of COVID-19, but God willing, we will win.
And they did. Flamengo scoring 2 goals in the last 11 minutes of the match to bag a 2-0 win. It's a night the fans will probably never forget. All right, let's have a look at how the weather's starting to shape up ahead of the weekend. And finally, from the dog with the longest ears to the world's tallest teenager, Guinness World Records has revealed its latest record breakers for the 2022 edition of its popular book. The annual publication has been released on Thursday, featuring an array of records and feats from the brave to the bizarre. Meet Bethany Lodge, a long-time gymnast who holds the record for the fastest 100-meter forward rolls and the most backwards somersault burpees by a female.
And stop.
Then there's American Zion Clark, born without any legs, who now holds the Guinness World Record for the fastest 20 meters walk on hands. Letitia Key from Ivory Coast has set a new world record for the most skips over a person's own hair. We then got the world's shortest bodybuilder. Pratik Mohite stands just 102 centimeters tall. There's also the world's tallest bodybuilder, Man Mountain Olivia Richters, at a towering 2 meters and 18 centimeters tall. But he's still almost 9 centimeters shorter than the world's newest, tallest teenager, American Olivia Rue. But our favorite new record holder is undoubtedly Canine Lou. He has the longest ears ever recorded on a dog, a whopping 34 centimeters long. Thank you for watching the Daily Roundup here on the EAC News channel. You'll get more breaking news and updates from our website. Head to www.eacnews.asia. You can also search for EAC News on Telegram and at your favorite app store. The child vaccinations for children between the ages of 6 and 11 kicking off at the Peace Palace on Friday morning. Our live coverage begins at 7:30 a.m. I will see you then.